All right, all right. Welcome in to A to Z Sports Prime Time. It is April 29th. The NFL draft is in the past. It is in the rearview mirror as all eyes now turn to the Cam Ward era of Tennessee Titans football. It happened. We were waiting for it to happen. Cam Ward is a Titan, but really an interesting draft for Tennessee. And, we're going to talk about all of it here this evening. Kind of give you my thoughts about the good and the bad from the Tennessee Titans 2025 draft class. What things do we have to really get excited about? What things are our biggest positive takeaways? And, what maybe are we a little bit underwhelmed by? I've got some takes on both ends of the spectrum. So an interesting conversation today as I see Richie, as I see Karen already in the chat here. So welcome on in. Going to be a great show. As I said, very, very excited for this conversation about the Titans' overall draft philosophy. I've pulled a handful of clips and segments from the Titans press conference. We had our draft recap press conference with GM Mike Borgonzi, president of football operations Chad Brinker on Monday afternoon. So they talked about all of their picks, reflected on how they feel like they did in the draft. So a lot to go over. After we talk about the draft class, we're going to talk about not draft class, the undrafted free agents, more rookies that are coming in to help Cam Ward and the Titans in 2025. Which guys are catching your eye? Which guys are catching my eye? So a lot of interesting conversation, maybe some hot takes coming. I don't know. But, when you review the good and the bad, and every draft class is certain to have both, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. So welcome on in. I'm seeing people in already. Richie wanted to know if the Bears took a project pick in round 2 as well. They did not, Richie. They took Luther Burden. So the Bears took an instant impact guy in round 2. I see Troy in here, says the analysis are projecting 4 wins. I actually will get to this. We'll save this, Troy, and I'm going to talk about something right off the bat here. John, what is going on? Seth says Survivor ain't the same without me. I appreciate it. Season 47 reigns supreme, as everybody is starting to learn watching season 48 right here. So I appreciate it from Seth. I see Bork. I see Pistol. I see Richie with Jimmy Horn comments. Love to see it. Welcome on in. Let's do it officially to A to Z Sports Prime Time. We are not in the Zen Sports Studios tonight. I am not Buck Rising, but I am Sam Phelan with you on Tuesday nights, and it is presented to you by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, or online at tworiversford.com for more information. Zen Sports, that is your place to bet. We've got the NHL playoffs. We've got the NBA playoffs going on. So, it's been a fun little sports thing. I think we got the Kentucky. Let me know, Robert. Do we have the Kentucky Derby coming up here? Kentucky
I'm
Derby?
not sure.
Maybe?
I would have to check that.
I think it's horse racing season. So you got the Derby. You know what to do there. If you're in need of a new workout program, TrueMath Fitness, that is the place for you, because no workout is ever recycled or repeated. Over at TrueMath, you can get your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident and visit them at TrueMathFitness.com. And Bart Durham Injury Law, because your big truck wreck is there. Fight for justice. A crash can change your life forever. And Bart Durham is just a click and a phone call away. All right. Let's get into some stuff here. Troy wanted to say that analysts are predicting 4 wins for the Titans next year. And it's not just analysts who are coming in with, low expectations, I would say, because the betting odds for Cam Ward's rookie season also came out recently. I believe Bet Online set Cam Ward's passing yard total at 3,200 yards. His passing touchdown over under at 19.5, and his interception total at 12.5. So Vegas is expecting about 20 touchdowns and well over double-digit interceptions from Cam Ward as a rookie. That would be a pretty high figure. Only 3 quarterbacks in the NFL threw more than 12 interceptions in 2024. So it would be one of the more reckless quarterbacks. Seth confirms it is Derby Saturday, by the way. So big deal in Kentucky where Seth is. I have never, I don't think I've ever watched a Kentucky Derby live. on TV, but I would absolutely love to go to the Kentucky Derby one day. I love a good horse racing spectacular where I could get all kinds of gambling in. I'd be all over that. But I did find, as I was saying, it very interesting. The Cam Ward expectations are being set relatively low. Perhaps that's because of situation. Perhaps that's just what they feel of the prospect. I mean, the Titans are not exactly a built-to-win franchise that a lot of rookies can walk into. But let's say he's right around those numbers. Let's say Cam Ward's rookie season is 3,200 yards, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. That'd be a worse season statistically than Bo Nix had, than Jaden Daniels had, than Caleb Williams had. It's below the bar for what rookie quarterbacks were able to do in 2024. I don't know if that's a bad season by any means. It's certainly a building block year. The Titans win-loss record, how he looks within those statistics is very important as well. But yeah, to the point that was made earlier by Troy, expectations low, and I think for okay reason. Which brings me to the draft class that we have to talk about. There is a lot of good in this Titans draft class, and there is a lot of bad in this Titans draft class. Not to say that these are all bad picks, but I think an overwhelming takeaway for the Titans draft class in 2025 is that they went a developmental route. After Cam Ward, I was curious to see where they would go on day 2 and day 3. And I was a little bit surprised by the lack of high impact day 1 players the Titans targeted. We heard from Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker ahead of the draft that, it's all about this 2 or 3 year projection. What can a player become, right? What is the guy going to be in the future? And I certainly think that is always true when you talk about round 4, round 5 picks. When you talk about those day 3 guys, right? You're trying to hit on development. But I think to the surprise of many, the Titans went for development as early as their second pick with Femi Oladejo. Kind of a guy who is more raw. And so I think, you have a situation and probably why you're seeing the win-loss total for the Titans being so low, probably why you're seeing these numbers for Cam Ward being so low is because they do not have a rookie class and they did not do a lot in free agency to immediately be like, let's win a bunch of football games, right? It is a building block season for the Titans. Here is our first video of the evening as Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker talk about the upside that is within this class and their strategy of targeting developmental players.
How early in the process did you kind of land on favoring the developmental types over maybe some pro-ready types? And can you kind of talk through why favoring one over the other?
Well, like I said, they all have developmental things that they have to go through here. But then once you start getting into the mid to later rounds and some of these guys, you're looking at some traits, speed at the receiver position with Ellick and DK. And, Marcus Harris is a guy that played really one big year of football at Cal. But you saw the traits on film, the quick twitch athlete that can develop. And the same thing with Mullings, too. You're looking at a guy that played linebacker for 2 years when he first came in, and really last year was really his first really workload of carrying the football. But you saw a big body there that runs hard, and you saw a lot of upside with him, and we were able to get him later on the 6th.
So you hear from Mike Borgonzi there, and I agree with a lot of what he said. The Titans went for traits, high trait type of guys, and there is upside in that, especially in the later rounds. But what I find interesting is that he specifically said traits in later round guys and talked about the speed that he sees in DK and Iomanor and just like these later round picks. But the Titans did the developmental route as early as round 2, as I said. It's not like they only did their late picks, Marcus Harris, Alec Iomanner, G-Murray DK, Khalil Mullings. Like, these were not the only developmental guys that they targeted. They went, with Oladejo, who has played 1 year at edge. It was sort of a philosophy that they took. Maybe good, maybe bad. I think some of the moves that they made to take chances on developmental players were huge successes. Some of them I was not super happy with. That being said, just because they went the developmental route does not mean that they, were bad picks by any means. Yet if you develop a guy and he becomes what you are hoping he becomes, it's an absolute home run. Here is the full Tennessee Titans draft class. Cam Ward, number 1. Femi Oladejo, Kevin Winston Jr., Chimere DK, Gunnar Helm, Alec Iomanner. I got to work on getting that to be second nature. Alec Iomanner, Jackson Slater, Marcus Harris, Khalil Mullings. 9 players, something that Chad Brinker talked about as a massive success for the team. Given the amount of picks that they started with, to come away with 9 players, they felt very good with that. And my first question for you today is, let's reflect on the good. Let's reflect on the positive. What was your favorite pick the Titans made during the 2025 NFL draft? I guess if you say Cam Ward, you say Cam Ward, but I prefer you not say Cam Ward. Like, what was your favorite draft pick here that got you pumped up about the draft class? I'll play some videos later on about some of the guys that are more optimistic picks in the Titans' eyes and in my eyes, but curious to what you guys have to say in the chat. While you guys, let me know, I'm going to tell you about one of my favorites, my favorite things, period. My favorite Ford dealer, that's for sure. It's Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, tworiversford.com, because they are the home of the Ford Bronco, and Ford Broncos are all over the road, which is why the Two Rivers Ford team is inviting you to come and get to know the car. It's an open invite. You don't even need to be in the market for a vehicle. Two Rivers Ford is a team of Bronco experts on hand to introduce you to the Bronco, answer questions, let you test drive, on and off-road capabilities. They can show you all of that, technology, accessories. And remember, it's a sales team that doesn't work on commission. They're really just there to educate you, to answer your questions and introduce you to a really cool vehicle that you might not know a lot about. So it's one of many reasons why people love doing business with Two Rivers Ford and why they are the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Go see my friends at Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, just 7 miles east of the airport, and get to know the Ford Bronco. Two Rivers Ford is your Ford Bronco headquarters. All right, let's get to those answers. What was your favorite pick the Titans made during the 2025 NFL draft? Richie G says Restrepo. Bad news, Richie G. The Titans did not draft somebody named Restrepo. We will get to Restrepo a little later on when we look at the UDFAs, but this is the draft class, so we are looking for draft picks. Alec Iomanner from MB, Gunnar Helm from American Tough, Alec Iomanner from Ryan Gregg. So Iomanner, Helm, let's see, 2 is Khalil Mullings for Farsender, getting Alec where they got him. Helm from James and John. Let's see, Alec, Iomanner, Helm. Those are the 2 most popular answers. Alec Iomanner and Gunnar Helm. So let's go ahead. Let's listen to what the Titans had to say about Alec Iomanner. Here is Mike Borgonzi reflecting on pass catchers that they drafted. So there's a little bit in here about Chimere DK, but he really talks about the traits that they saw in Iomanner as well.
You guys needed pass catchers coming into this draft. What did you guys identify in the draft that led you to wait till day 3? Then you found 3 there and 25 picks, and then also Tyler Lockett's addition. What does that do?
Yes. You're looking at the value of the board for these guys, and where we took Chim and Alec at that point. We were looking for young guys with some speed, and they both fit that. Chim's a guy that has return ability as well. He's done punt returns, he's done kick returns. Alec's a big body receiver, receiver that's strong, physical at the catch point. He gives a good catch radius for the quarterback. So those are some of the things that we were looking at with those two guys when we took them.
So catch radius, speed, those are the things that the Titans saw in Alec Iomanner, which is why they're very high on him. Gunnar Helm as well is a guy who, they expect to have sort of an instant impact on the team. They saw one good year from him at Texas where he got a lot better. I actually have I have two answers to this. It was a little tough picking which one I wanted to go with. Because I agree on Alec Iomanner. I think he is I wasn't huge on the prospect actually coming out. Like blind resume, I was kind of out on Alec Iomanner, and I sort of had to shift my mindset as the draft went on because the only reason I was out on him is because he was being projected as a second-round pick. And I didn't like him as a second-round pick. But where they got him, I certainly think was a great selection. The potential is absolutely there. We saw him just dog walk Travis Hunter in a college football game. I think, his numbers possibly way larger, way more explosive in a better offense than Stanford with better quarterback play than he had. But you see the traits. You see a guy who has a very solid brain for the game, like good mind for the game. He talked in an interview that I had, with the rest of the media. We talked to Alec Iomanner. He said he thinks his mind is his biggest asset. So when you talk big, you talk fast, you talk good mind for the game, good leader, team captain type of a guy. I think this is really good value for the Titans. I don't know if he's ever going to be like a star 1,000-yard wide receiver, but I certainly think he can be a solid NFL contributor. And so I think this was very good value. My favorite pick, this is a little bit controversial, I think. I think it might be their last one. I think as far as like taking swings is concerned, I think we have to give a little bit of credit to the Khalil Mullings selection. Here's what Mike Borgonzi had to say about Khalil Mullings. Just wanted to play this for everyone.
Talked about it a little bit earlier with Mullings, but just like the lack of tread on the tires and for what you guys were looking to add at the running back position, how much of a factor was that? And I guess how much more difficult did it make an evaluation of a player with a limited sample size?
Yeah, I mean, he certainly jumped off the tape when I watched him in the fall. He provides a different back in the room that we have right now. He's 6 foot, 230-pound back. Like I said, he was a former linebacker, and it's impressive, the way he just kind of hits the hole and gets upfield. He's physical, and he'll provide us that short yardage, 4-minute type back.
So there is a little bit on that 6th round pick at number 188, Khalil Mullings. He is probably one of the under talked about guys. I don't know if he's going to have the best career of this bunch. I doubt he would. He's a 6th round pick. They took him late for a reason. But I think value for what the Titans were looking for, I think this is the best fit possible. I had some concerns, right? The Titans were talking about bringing in a running back some point in this draft, adding a guy to the room that filled a need that they didn't currently have. And for me, it didn't seem like a pressing need. Like you have Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears, and sure, would it be nice to get like a guy who's got good contact balance and can be a short yardage back? Yes. But was drafting Cam Scatterbo in like the 3rd round a good option given the other needs that you need to fill and the other premium positions that you'd like to build towards the future? No. And so when I look at Mullings, you got him with your absolute last pick in the draft. I think it is a perfect blend of immediate impact at something you need and upside that's really intriguing. He's a former linebacker. He's 6'1", 235 pounds, but he runs a lot faster than I think his build would lead you to believe. And he was a linebacker for 3 years in college, did not switch to running back until 2023, where he was a limited back with only 36 carries for Michigan. This past year, 950 yards and 12 touchdowns on 185 carries. So the yards per carry, really impressive. As Mike Borgonzi says, certainly popped on film when you just look at his ability to identify a hole and hit a hole hard. I think he is still raw in the sense that his ability to analyze run lanes as he gets the ball and have good vision is not great, but he's played 1 year of running back, 2 years of running back, right? Like, he's not an experienced guy, while most of these running backs in the draft have been playing the position their whole lives. I find it interesting, the idea that he comes into the Titans and has an immediate impact as a 4-minute short yardage back, like Borgonzi said, in year one, and potentially develops. And for a 6th-round pick, I really like this value. So I think value-wise, that's my favorite pick. I think my favorite player, if I was betting on one of these players to be just another value, it would be Io Manor probably for me at 136. Is just like, for what you're getting there. The ceiling is really fun. And I will say, don't sleep on Kevin Winston. It's the other guy. This is an interesting clip from Mike Borgonzi talking Kevin Winston. Says the Titans gave him an early 2nd-round grade and believed he was one of the best safeties in the draft class before he got hurt at Penn State.
Point, how big of a value add was Kevin Winston to be able to find him in the 3rd?
Yeah, it was a big value because really, before, the injury, he was, at the top of the 2nd round for us. He's one of the top safeties in the draft. He's going to be fine. He had the injury early on in the season. And we were fortunate enough to get him there at that spot.
So I saw a couple people saying, they were in on Winston. Brian says Winston will be a Pro Bowler. Yeah, I mean, Winston is considered one of the better tacklers in the draft class, which for a safety is valuable, especially in a Denard Wilson defense. He's another guy that I think needs to demonstrate a more refined approach to his position. He's not excellent in identifying runs and being like the first guy in. He's not excellent in, ball hawking necessarily, but he can cover. He's versatile. He can tackle, and then just like a lot of athleticism to get you excited. So for Tennessee, there's some questions, right? Why would you take him over Xavier Watts? And that was really my only reason why I was a little hesitant towards the pick, because Watts feels like a more proven product that can come in and contribute. But with the Titans having 2 safeties already, Xavier Woods and Amani Hooker, ready for 2025, Winston is probably a rotational guy that you plan to turn the keys over to in 2026. And in year 2, he's a starter. So I think there is a trajectory there where he could end up being a very good player as well. And as Borgonzi said, he's probably drafted much higher and valued much higher and a more common name if he doesn't get hurt at Penn State in 2024. So, those are some of the better ones. Let's go to the other side of things, right? I'm going to ask you guys to get a little bit negative, because let's face it, every pick in every draft class is not going to be amazing. There are going to be some flops. What is your least favorite pick the Titans made? We did favorite, we did best. We talked about a lot of upside. What is your least favorite pick the Titans made during the 2025 draft? Again, here is the list of picks if you need them to go off of: Ward, Oladejo, Winston, DK, Helm, Io Manor, Slater, Harris, Mullings. Let's hear it. Least favorite pick the Titans made in the 2025 NFL draft. And while you guys go ahead and sound off, let me know what you're not liking. I'm going to tell you what I am liking, and that is my friends at TrueMath Fitness. Get your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident. First workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident. No workout is ever recycled or repeated at TrueMav. They've got personal training. They've got group fitness classes. They got memberships that also offer an open gym. Not a lot of places have that, right? It's hard to find open gym abilities, but then also like the intense and intimate setting of personal training as well. They've got all of it at TrueMath Fitness, located in the Gulch. You can go to truemathfitness.com. If you're a Middle Tennessee resident, you get your first workout free. All right, let's go to the chat. Let's see those answers. What is your least favorite pick the Titans made? We see Femi, Winston, and DK over Cam Scattaboo from Richie. The trade back, not a pick, but a move from Troy, the trade back. I think that's a fair criticism. I was critical of that as well when that happened. The Chimere DK from Kenneth. DK Bork says we're all going to say DK. John says the edge guy. Harris probably from MB. Harris from Michael. Harris, and it's not even close. Is interesting, and not a lot of love for Marcus Harris. We see everybody's going to say DK. They should have went Royals instead. Jalen Royals is my guy, so I don't disagree with Brian there. Harris from Nate, Femi Oladejo, DK or Harris, DK. I don't think you can say Harris. I really don't. I don't think we'll get to that later. I don't think your least favorite pick in the draft can be the guy you take in the 6th round at number 183 overall. I think it's fine to say it's your favorite if you're super high on one of these guys, like I am on Mullings, but the risk is just so small. These guys are not supposed to be high impact guys. If Marcus Harris makes your roster and is a special teamer for the next couple of years in the 6th round, that's a fine draft pick, right? So I kind of don't buy into the idea that it can be your least favorite pick. I mean, if that's your least favorite pick, you think that this is an absolute home run of a draft class. So as Bork says, he's CB5 at best. Low impact depth as a rookie, right? Yeah, I think it's whatever. I have 2. I'm with you guys on DK. I really am. I'll play Mike Borgonzi on Chimere DK. I don't get it. I really don't. So here's what Borgonzi had to say about why they liked him and picked him.
DK maybe open up the field for you, I guess, with that speed he has. What does that do not only for him, but maybe for some of the others?
I'm sorry, who is it?
DK?
Yeah, he certainly has speed to stretch the field. And he's competitive downfield. He's smart, versatile. He can line up in a bunch of different spots on offense. And the one thing that we liked about him is just his competitiveness after the catch as well. So you got a guy that's, smart, tough, dependable, can line up, and he also has a big catch radius too. So those are the things we liked about him.
So they like the tools. This was not my favorite pick. I think they took him over a lot of wide receivers that were better than him. There's some measurable, sure, but he played 5 years of college football and was never really productive. His best season yards wise was 783 yards as a 5th-year senior at Florida last year. In 4 of his 5 college seasons, he scored 2 or 1 touchdowns. So not really much red zone capabilities there either. He scored 6 touchdowns for Wisconsin in 2022. Just pretty limited route tree. Not very refined. Sure, he's fast. I think he'll be a punt returner and a kick returner, but I'm not taking a punt returner and a kick returner with the first pick of the 4th round when there's some other high upside receivers that I think will actually have offensive impact. I would have taken Alec Iomanor before DK. Like if I was just looking at the 2 of them, I would have much rather they take Iomanor before DK. Now they got both of them, so okay, to each their own. Sure. Hey, we'll take both. I'm not a big fan of this pick. Jalen Royals was a guy who I was all over, but certainly think that there were wide receivers that would have been higher impact than DK. I'm setting the bar very low for him this year as a rookie. I think he is probably your wide receiver 5 this year. He's your wide receiver 5 this year. And he's a kick returner and a punt returner. But I think immediate impact, right? Guys that are actually going to see the field, we have to address a crazy comment from Michael in the chat right now. But immediate impact, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Lockett, Alec Iomanor will have a bigger role. I think Van Jefferson will have a bigger role this year than Chimere DK will have on offense. He might even be 6. You could argue for like Restrepo or somebody like that. Traylon, right? I don't know if he'll make the team because of his special teams and he'll return. I think I'm a little bit lower on what you'll actually get from him offensively than the Titans front office might be. Michael says, did you say that when you got Hester? This is a crazy comment. If Chimere DK is the greatest returner in the history of pro football, It was a good pick. There's one Devin Hester. This is crazy. Devin Hester was also a cornerback when he got drafted, so he played both sides. That I just had to show that because, like, if your expectation for Chimere Dike is Traylon Burks, I think you're fairly green when it comes to these drafts. And you probably have rose-colored glasses looking at the picks. So I'll just wanted to throw that out there. I think that's a fair answer. I will actually say that my least favorite pick, though, is Oladejo, is Femi. And he's an intriguing prospect. And you know, it really is just a matter of value, where you took him, and what his immediate impact is going to be. This is a former inside linebacker that has only played 10 games in his entire football career as an edge rusher. He is considered to be a plus defender against the run at setting the edge. The Titans like that he's athletic and he can drop back into coverage. For me, edge was a need because you needed pass rush help. Like, that was the need. Harold Landry was good at dropping into coverage and setting the edge. Harold Landry was good at being against the run, right? Now, obviously, Harold Landry was expensive, and Femi is on a rookie contract, so there are some long-term and financial trade-offs for the Titans moving on from Harold. But is he better than Harold? I don't think so. I don't think the Titans have necessarily improved edge rusher play than they had last year. It's close, maybe slightly improved, but it was a massive, massive, massive weakness for them in 2024. I've heard a lot from inside the building about how desperate they were to improve their pass rush. And you come away with a guy who has very limited production as an edge rusher, very limited experience as an edge rusher. Arden Key still in his same role, and Draymond Jones. I mean, I was talking with other people in the Titans media. Bork says Femi can be a solid edge too. I agree, he can be. But right now, he's probably your edge 4. Like, he's probably your 4th best edge rusher right now today. And to take that guy in the second round, that was my least favorite part of this draft. The idea that you were sitting with pick 35, that there was talent on the board at pick 35, like Donovan Ezaraku, right? Like guys who come in and are immediate impact pass rushers for you. And because you trade down and you swing for an upside guy, you end up without a talent that really will impact your pass rush ability in year 1. So he's fast, as Steven says. Let's give him some time. They know a lot more than us. I kind of disagree with that. I think people vastly overestimate how much front offices know versus the average person that watches tape. I think, it's just as easy to throw a dart at a dartboard as it is to draft from inside, a war room. And that's evidenced by the amount of general managers that get hired, get it wrong, and then get fired all the time. I don't know. I question the process there when you know that edge rushers were a weakness for you and you get a guy that doesn't really contribute to your pass rush this year. That was my least favorite part of the draft. And then real quick, get to a third question for you all. Which Titans draft pick besides Cam Ward will have the biggest impact in 2025? Titans draft pick with the biggest impact in 2025. We went through favorite and least favorite. Maybe favorite doesn't mean they're the best this year, though. So who will be the most prominent and most impactful this year for the Tennessee Titans? Let me know what you think in the chat. I've got an answer ready to go. And while you guys do that, I will tell you about my friends over at Bart Durham Injury Law, because let's face it, you deserve to be paid. Your big truck wreck is their fight for justice at Bart Durham. A crash can change your life forever. They're here to help, only a phone call away. You can reach them 24/7 to get legal questions answered. And attorneys are available to meet with you whenever is most convenient. Visit the website bartdurham.com for current news, blogs, and to contact our live chat. They've been in business since 1975. They've got years of experience dealing with all kinds of wrecks. While they're located in Capitol View, Nashville, they can fight for anyone in Kentucky or Tennessee that's been in an auto accident. BartDurham.com and Bart Durham Injury Law. Who is the highest impact Titans rookie in 2025? I see Restrepo. I see Kevin Winston. I see Iomanner, Winston, Femi, Helm, Slater, or Helm. Oh, the wide receiver from Stanford, Iomanner, Slater, lineman adapt quickly. Iomanner. I'm surprised more people are not saying Gunnar Helm. That's my answer. Here is Mike Borgonzi talking about the Titans' new tight end.
Helm, did you see anything in particular that kind of accounted for his huge year? Didn't do too much the first 3 years there in terms of production, but what were some of the things he did particularly well that final year? Helm?
Helm. Yeah, he was another guy that just continually got better, too. He was a former receiver in high school that made the transition to tight end at Texas. And I think that was part of you're looking for these guys that continue to get better. Like I mentioned with DK and with Helm, they got better every year. And he had a big season last year. Those are the traits that you look for, and that's what you hope to continue here when they get to the league.
Gunnar Helm, I think, is the biggest impact rookie for the Titans in 2025. I think there is a legitimate chance he's the tight end one in terms of pass catching options for Tennessee. He needs to work on his run blocking a lot. That is sort of the developmental aspect of his game. Everybody has a developmental aspect to them that the Titans drafted. Really developmental aspect of Helm is going to be his run blocking, but I think highly productive at Texas last year. Big frame, big body, just like good, reliable target with, an ability to contribute, especially on third down. So I think Helm will be more impactful than Josh Wiley for certain, and probably contests with Chig for who the most impactful tight end in the Titans room is. But I think of all these guys, the one guy that we are for certain to see in the offense every week is going to be Gunnar Helm. If you told me that Chimere DK wasn't in the offense, I'd believe you. If you told me that Alec Iomanner wasn't in the offense, I'd believe you. Like those guys could maybe have some growing pains that they need to work through. Gunnar Helm is going to contribute. He's going to catch balls. He's going to score touchdowns. At worst, I think he's tight end 2, as Rock says. High upside, he's tight end 1. And they use him not really as an inline blocker, but really it's just like a target for them on third down. And you saw all of that kind of factored into his game over at Texas. He'll score some touchdowns. He'll be an influential player for them. So if you're looking for a guy to rally behind in this year, Gunnar Helm is my guy for that. Let's go to real quick the non-draft picks that we think could have an impact for the Titans. I want to talk about these undrafted free agents. Here's a list of the undrafted free agents the Titans have agreed to terms with so far. I think I know where most people are going to go, but I do want to ask the chat real quick. Which Titans UDFA, if you've been paying attention to this list, which one's the most exciting? Which Titans undrafted free agent is the most exciting for you? Isaiah Rakes, Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon, Xavier Restrepo, Clarence Lewis, Micah Bernard, Davion Ross, Devontae O'Malley, David Gabenda, Jalen Kimber, Philip Bliddy, Desmond Evans, Virgil Lemons, Garnett Hollid, Caden Moore, Jamari Harris, Cam Horsley. That's the list of undrafted free agents. Xavier Restrepo maybe as the fourth receiver. Xavier, then Gabenda from John Boy. Restrepo. I felt like that was going to be the most popular answer. Restrepo from Smokey. Kimber could be somebody. Brock has his eyes on Jalen Kimber out of Penn State. David Gabenda is a tackling machine, says Brian, who has seen him at Texas a good bit. Micah Bernard on the radar of Richie, 1,000-yard rusher for Utah last year. O'Malley, Devontae O'Malley out of Northern Illinois, my Northern Illinois. And the real reason I wanted to do this is I wanted to sort of spread awareness of some of the players that I think are worth monitoring, worth watching. Obviously, Xavier Restrepo is going to be like I mean, could you get a more instant fan favorite? Titans fans love their undrafted free agents, by the way. Love their undrafted free agents. To get a guy with a very good story as Xavier Restrepo, who comes from Miami, who's a teammate of Cam Ward, who's rootable, who wanted to be a Titan. Yeah, Restrepo, easy fan favorite. But what are the other guys that are potentially worth paying attention to? I think the two other guys that I have on my radar to make the team, because I do think Xavier Restrepo is going to make the 53-man roster. I think, Jeff says he's mid. I think we can obviously temper our expectations for what he's going to be. He was undrafted for a reason. The speed is a concern. How much will his speed translate? He ran a 4.8. He ran at Hurt, but he ran a 4.840. So what does the speed look like in the NFL and how does it translate? But I do think he can do enough to make the 53-man roster. Guys that I have on my radar to also make the team. I love that somebody brought up Devontae O'Malley. Yes, I'm biased. Yes, I watched every Northern Illinois football game for the last 5 years of Devontae O'Malley's career. So obviously he's going to be my guy. He's a little bit undersized at 6'2", 265, but he can add a little bit of weight, I think, and I think he's got plus athleticism. Highly, highly, highly productive college player and a very experienced college player. He has played 58 games at Northern Illinois over his 5 years of college. So highly experienced. Like I said, 130 tackles, 31 tackles for loss, 22 and a half sacks. This past year had 12 tackles for loss and 8 sacks as a defensive lineman for a very good Northern Illinois team that played some high-end competition. They played Notre Dame. He had a very good day against Notre Dame and kind of gave that offensive line some issues. Tested very well on the RAS. So like I said, plus athlete, under talked about because he's undersized and from a small school, but productive, good numbers. I think production matters. And so I'm watching Devontae O'Malley. Here's the other guy you should have on your radar. It's Brandon Crenshaw Dixon. Brandon Crenshaw Dixon, a Florida offensive tackle. Kind of hurt himself and tanked himself at the combine. Tested very poorly in terms of offensive line athleticism, but went to San Diego State for 5 years, went to Florida last year, played 11 games, started 11 games at right tackle. In 2023 for San Diego State, he played 4 games at right tackle, 5 games at left tackle. 12 games as a starter, San Diego State, 13 games at right tackle in 2022, 14 games at right tackle in 2021. So 40 plus games of college experience. NFL.com's overview gave him a 5th or 6th round grade. He's a big tackle with a broad frame. He's got long arms. 46 college starts to his name. Good run block connections. Good size to create movement on double teams and down blocks. Big knock against him is he's not quick enough to expand very far beyond the batter's box as a run blocker. He ran a 5.33 in the 40. So the athleticism knock is a real problem for him. But the frame, I think, is intriguing. Big guy, big, strong guy. 6'7", 316 pounds with a solid 34-inch arm and a lot of experience. For an undrafted free agent, by the way, Brandon Crenshaw Dixon got a fat guarantee from the Titans. I think he got over $200,000 in guarantees. So typically, if you want to look at which guys are going to make the Titans roster, which guys are in contention to make the roster, or which guys are highly thought of by the organization, look at the amount of guaranteed money that they are given. So Crenshaw Dixon is certainly on that radar. And mainly, to me, tackle is sort of wide open right now. The Titans have made a lot of moves at interior offensive line, right? They got Kevin Zeitler. They got Blake Hance. They drafted Jackson Slater. They signed Brandon James. They signed Sam Mustipher. They signed Oli Udoh. These are all interior guys. They brought back Corey Levin. They've got Andrew Rupsich. They've got Lloyd Cushenberry. Interior offensive line, very, very competitive. Let's look at the tackles. Dan Moore, J.C. Latham, John Ojukwu, Jalen Duncan. Those are the tackles that you've got on the roster. They're low on Jalen Duncan. John Ojukwu did not do anything last year. He's a undrafted free agent himself. I think there is an opportunity for Braden says, can any of them play tackle? Those guys that I just listed are all interior linemen. You've got 4 tackles on the roster right now: Moore, Latham, Duncan, Ojukwu. So for Crenshaw Dixon to come in and have experience as a tackle, have a frame that's intriguing, have the ability to, work with Bill Callahan, I think he's another UDFA to watch that the Titans could maybe try to develop as like a little bit of a swing tackle option for them if they're not currently happy with what they have. So Restrepo, fine. I hear it totally. I think he's a candidate to make the team for sure. But out of this list, watch Devontae O'Malley and Brandon Crenshaw Dixon to also crack the 53, or at least be in the conversation come training camp. Okay, that's all. Let's go ahead. Let's move it on. Let's get Burton here. Let's do some gone viral. I don't know what we've got today, so always excited to see what Robert's got cooked up for me.
What's going on, man? And you know exactly what I've got cooked up for you. If you've been on the internet in the last 6 days. So the conversation that has dominated Twitter, Instagram, everybody.
All right, I immediately know where you're going.
Can 100 men take down a gorilla? So flatly, even before this became a thing, soon as this conversation started, I was like, yes, absolutely, 100 men can take down a gorilla. That is overwhelming force at that point. And a little thing about gorillas, they are not endurance runners. They are the sprinters of the herbivore world. So after they exert that energy throwing people like a cave troll in Lord of the Rings, they're going to be pretty pooped. And that's when everybody's going to jump in there and stick a thumb in their ass, and we're going to mess this gorilla up. But everybody thinks about this when they see a gorilla.
Oh, man.
God, I'd hate to be number one.
One more time.
Oh, man.
That video might have changed my mind.
See, I did the research, Sam, so you ain't got to worry about it. I asked ChatGPT, how many brave, fit men would it take to take down a gorilla? And they said 30 to 35. I can deal with that number. Strong, brave men. Then I asked how many morbidly obese adults, everybody with a BMI greater than 40, to take down a gorilla, and it said over 100, and the casualties would be massive. So the real factor here is can you get 30 to 35 guys who don't give a shit about dying and are willing to fight this gorilla? Which brings me to the actual question. Or you go ahead, you can rebuttal.
Well, yeah, go to the question real quick because I think I'll answer.
Could the Tennessee Titans 53-man roster take down a gorilla?
Yeah.
You'd think so. You'd think so. You'd say the waves.
Jeff and T-Sweat might be able to do it alone.
Yeah, see, that's exactly what I have been able to use to change people's frame of mind. They're like, hell no, that gorilla would beat the hell out of everything. And it's like, okay, half of the number you're saying is just about a full NFL roster. Could an NFL team beat up a gorilla?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I think they could. Yeah. So the only thing that gets me thinking maybe no, is when you look at that video, I think the underrated thing about a gorilla is how fast they are. Is like that gorilla he was walking. I don't even know if he was running, and he just bang, he was there. And I think people think of gorilla, they think size, they think strength, but do they factor in the athleticism of speed, of vertical leap, of all of these things that like make the gorilla a little bit more difficult to pin down. I think if you got a gorilla in a room, that I think is the factor. Is the gorilla in a room?
I agree with that.
Is it sectored off so that you can corner the gorilla and have the guys just go at it? Because you'd have quite a few casualties. Absolutely would have a few casualties.
Oh, yeah.
But if you had people willing to die and send it, and they were giving it their all, absolutely the men could take down the gorilla, and absolutely the Titans could. But if you put it in an open field where the gorilla had the ability to move around and sort of like minimize the amount of humans that it was fighting at one time. So it's like, I'm going to bob and weave and constantly jump and run around. So now it's like, you can't get me. I'm behind you. I'm over here. I'm over here. I think the gorilla might mess them all up.
Yeah, I could agree with that. My whole thing is, if for whatever reason 100 people are fighting a gorilla, they're going to televise it. We are going to be able to watch it. They are going to put it somewhere where we can see these 100 men's lives not be wasted. And Woody chimes in, hand to hand, 100 isn't doing it. Doesn't matter how fit they are. No man is going to be strong enough to deliver a lethal blow. That's right. No man. But 100 man stomping, stomping the hell out of a gorilla.
I mean, it's like the fact that, like, believe it or not, like, you probably lose a fight to like 100 geese, maybe, or like
probably
200.
Geese are mean as hell.
Like, they're mean as hell, and one of them is not going to kill you. One of them can't deliver a lethal blow, but there's a little thing here, a little thing there, blah 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 blah. Like they get you, and then next thing you know, like, this is great. One bear-sized duck or 10 duck-sized bears. Which one would you rather fight?
I'd beat the hell out of them duck-sized bears. I would beat the hell out of them duck-sized bears. I've had aunts and grandmas who had them mean yippy dogs. I've been having to fight off dogs my whole life. 10 of them.
Bear-sized duck or a duck-sized bear? I think I'd rather fight. Yeah, I mean, I think I'd rather fight the duck-sized bears, right? A duck-sized bear is just like a mean dog. It's just like 100%. It's just like a little like bulldog that's upset.
So all in all, I think this whole conversation is stupid. People are making gorillas who love gorillas. Gorillas are cool as hell, but they ain't whooping 100 people. Unless you're telling me, oh, half of them don't want to be there and the other half got birthday parties they're supposed to be at later. If you give me a bunch of people that don't want to fight a gorilla, then sure. Yeah, he gonna whip the hell out of all of them.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if you give people like brains and consciences where they're like, don't be the first person to die. And so then they go at them one at a time, and it's just like weird because, like, yeah, the gorilla's going to knock them all out. But if you send 100 people, go full out, full send it, I think they could take them.
Damn pit bulls. Hell, how big of a duck? How big do you think ducks are? A duck?
It's like 10 like female pit bulls.
Yeah, maybe half baby pit bulls. I don't know. I don't know how many ducks y'all get to hold, but ducks ain't as big. A pit bull? I ain't fighting 10 pit bulls. That's like baby bears.
I mean, baby bear is not actually a bad. We were that 10 duck-sized bears might just be 10 baby bears. So maybe
I ain't doing that.
Maybe you do want to fight the one bear-sized duck.
I don't know. I had to fight a goose in a movie theater parking lot one time, and that thing beat the hell out of me, man. They'll fly up on you. Their head is so long, like you're trying to like duck and weave with it, and that goose will just flog you one time. You can't even catch him. So I would not fight any long-necked animals. Ostriches, geese, giraffes, they all have.
That was my worry when you're talking bear-sized duck. It's like a bear-sized duck. The beak on that thing is like
right. And what you don't see,
one chomp of a bear-sized duck's beak, and it'd take my arm off.
Y'all want to hear some messed up stuff? Go look up all about ducks mating rituals. Go look that up. That's pretty messed up. That's my homework. I'll give all y'all. Go look at how ducks get married and all that.
I'm not going to do that, but I'll
you would be very sad for ducks. So that's all I'll say. Ducks are messed up, man.
Yeah. I tend to, ignorance is bliss when it comes to wildlife. I like to assume that all animals are happy and treat each other with respect.
Oh yeah. It's a Disney forest all around.
All right. That's all for us tonight. Buck will be back tomorrow night. Here on Prime Time. I will be back on the A to Z Sports Morning Show tomorrow. Keep it locked here on A to Z for all of your post-draft content, your UDFA content. Mini camp is, just a few weeks away here. So we'll have all the Cam Ward updates coming here for you soon. Till then, tighten up. We will see you later.